What role do you think capitalism has played in expanding the UK's renewable energy availability so dramatically?
When everything is pointing in the right direction, so where you have all the pieces aligned, so whether that's the technology at a reasonable cost, whether that's the marketplace and the ability to invest, if you get all of those aligned, you mobilize capital very, very fast.
If we don't mark the end of the fossil fuel era, then our ability to have emissions by 2030 is almost impossible. And so I think we urgently need to double down on the alternatives.
What do you think about the role of consumers and consumerism in relation to energy?
I've always thought of consumers as a force to good, but we just need to make sure that they've got the structures within the place to be able to allow them to be good.
If we can figure out how to harness the consumer power that exists, that's exactly what we need to now do. We've run out of time to purely do this from a supply side.
Would you mind expanding a little bit on the nature crisis and how we take account of it as we move to new forms of energy?
So I'm optimistic that as far as decarbonising our economies go, we're on a pretty good pathway. The problem is, even if we do it all in time, it's not enough. I think if we don't also start to piece back together the terribly depleted natural fabric of the planet, I think we're toast.
The planet will still be here. It'll just kick us off.
This planet isn't infinite, and therefore making sure that we can live within the planetary boundaries is really important.
The impacts we're having on our climate and on nature and the gross inequality that we see are two sides of the same coin.
It'd be interesting to get your perspective on how you think capitalism will affect the longevity of fossil fuels even as renewables become more common.
When you enter into a market as a new entrant, you're not just trying to compete in a market, you're also trying to face a regulatory regime which is dictated to by the existing incumbents. Government, therefore, has a really important role to be strong and sort of not be lobbied for the continuation of the systems that we already have in place.
Pricing carbon correctly, which really is the ultimate externality, is a key to delivering a kind of complete energy transition.
Come to each of you in turn and just with some sort of final positive thoughts for our audience.
And I think the emergence of a rewilding movement is one of the most optimistic and exciting and hopeful things that's happening in the world today. Everywhere in the world, there are rewilding projects happening, restoring natural processes, reintroducing missing native species.
And I think if you look at the young activists and movement builders out there acting together for the future, that we have a lot of hope. I think they're showing us that there is a future, and we need to believe in that future to create it.
I actually think it's some of the really boring things that are happening that give me hope. And the fact that we may see a future where companies include purpose and social and environmental purpose as a core part of their articles that they're then held to account to. So I am hugely optimistic across every business, not just environmental businesses.
Thank you very much indeed.